So today we're talking about taking back your time. And I know that the current situation in the world has us all feeling stressed and a little more than slightly off kilter with our normal schedules and routines. So today I'm going to talk about taking back your time in order to decrease stress in your life. And the constant levels of stress that we're all under with the pandemic, coupled with learning how to run our lives almost entirely from home, have thrown us kind of all for a loop. And so whether you're working from home like me, I'm a mental wellness coach and a certified hypnotherapist, and so I'm doing all of my appointments virtually. I have one-to-one clients as well as a course and a group program that I do, and so I'm running all of that from home. Or, maybe you're working around kids. I've got husbands and fur kids, and so working around them. Or you might be feeling a little isolated. Everybody's lives have been disrupted in major and minor ways. And so the first way I would like to discuss on how you can take back control of your time is through your morning and your evening routines. And since your work schedule might be dramatically different than what it looked like before, keeping your sleep schedule consistent is really important in maintaining good health and stabilizing your emotional well-being. So creating routines with specific bedtimes and wake up times might be a little counterintuitive if you don't have to be at work and leave work at a certain time. But those are going to be ways that you can streamline your schedule to take away decision fatigue. And decision fatigue is when you have to make so many decisions, especially first thing in the morning, for example. And that mental fatigue can really take its toll. And because we've all had these low levels of stress on top of anything else that was going on in your life, because of this pandemic, it really makes a bigger difference than you think that it would by taking away some of those decisions every day. And so, for example, before you go to sleep at night, write down your to-do list for the next day, pick out your clothes, plan your meals, just really get mentally prepared for it. And by giving yourself less things to worry about the next day, you're going to minimize some of that fatigue. You could prepare your meal menus, especially right now, right? We're not going to the store every day because we forgot something. We're planning it out a lot more. So whether that's a meal service or you're just planning your menu out and going shopping a little bit less, maybe, every week or 2 weeks, planning those things out so that you can take away some of the guessing game is really, really helpful. And it also can save time by helping you prepare everything at once. And then when it comes to your to-do list, on top of meal times, of course, we all have 1,000,001 things that we could get done right now, right? We're thinking, oh my gosh, I could organize my closet. I could do all of these things, but limiting yourself to just really the half dozen items each day that need to get done. So the most important, prioritizing that list is really key. And then any extra time that you have a master list, have kind of a dump list, right? Where you do a brain dump and put everything down that could get done, but you make sure that you get the top 5 or 6 things done every day. And I recommend actually doing the top 3 first before lunch. There's a really great book that I recommend that I love from Daniel Pink. It's a book called When, and it's the science behind when you should do certain activities. And whether you're a morning person or a night person, really looking at those first few hours right after you get up as being really good productive time to do those more challenging or analytical tasks before you hit that after lunch dip in energy, right, is really important. So prioritize those top 3. Get those things done. Then when you experience the dip, you can have just kind of autopilot is what I like to call them, activities in the afternoon, things you don't have to think about too much, things that aren't that critical thinking type of task. And then you'll get another energy upswing a little bit before maybe dinner time, right? So if you're on a typical schedule, getting as much done as you can before lunch, before like noon, having a little bit of a more low-key time in the afternoon, and then maybe finishing up some of those tasks around 4 are going to be really great for you. And you can just adjust those for your own personal schedule. But utilizing those times wisely and doing all of those critical thinking tasks during high energy times, and those things that are just easily checked off your list during energy parts of the day that are lower, are really going to help you. I talked to a client the other day who was saying, okay, so I like to get all my morning tasks and everything done and then do household things. But then I'm having a really hard time in my business getting things done when I set aside the 4 hours in the afternoon. Well, she was trying to get the more mundane, like the cleaning and all of those kinds of tasks done before noon, and then work from 12 to 4. And what she was finding is that energy dip in the afternoon was keeping her from being motivated to get those things done. So I suggested that she switch that and do some of those household tasks more in the afternoon and get more done before that for her business. The next thing on my list is going to be taking control of, time and stress management by figuring out what kind of a calendar works best for you. This is huge when you're looking at time freedom, is what calendar works best. And I will admit to you all that I have tried every kind of paper planner under the sun, and they just don't work for me. You have to find something that works for you. And for me, it happens to be digital. I love my Google Calendar. I run everything in life off of my Google Calendar. So whatever that is for you, if you're a paper person or you're a digital person, figure out what you'll use and what you'll be really consistent with. And again, this is taking away some of that decision fatigue as well, because you're constantly having to think about what's due when are you, supposed to have these calls, or when are these live videos. And so really making sure that you and everyone in your household, because you may have more people home than usual, for example, and that they know when your virtual meetings are, or they know when things are supposed to happen for each person in your household, is really important. So if everyone can see and share a calendar, so if you have your own personal paper calendar, but then you have a master calendar that's color coded up on the fridge, for example, or with something like a Google Calendar, you can color code and have different sub calendars for each category of the things that you're doing in each person. And so then you can share that with other people. So on all of their devices, they're able to see that. That's really going to help you manage your time efficiently. And again, with that minimal mental effort. You can set alerts and set up whatever systems you need to make that happen. Make sure to plan your items out. So if you have, let's say every, Monday, that you have a live meeting or a video, schedule those out multiple weeks so that you're not constantly having to go in and put in the next one. Go ahead and make that recurring. Or, putting in when all your bills are due for the month and then just making those recurring every single month. Just writing those or typing those in on the calendar every month so you just don't have to think about it. So when you're planning your next day, you can see, okay, this is everything that's happening the next day. And it's just so much easier than constantly trying to remember. Because when you have everything stored only in your brain, things are going to get missed, and there's a lot more stress that comes along with that. And of course, occasions, right? People's birthdays and holidays, things like that maybe you need to mail a card for. All of those things being in there is going to help you not feel stressed, which is the key here. And then another tip is to add flexibility into your daily schedule. So giving yourself, especially now, some more grace to account for those unexpected things that are invariably going to pop up, the interruptions, the breaks that you're going to need. Right now, we're so used to having a more regimented schedule, and working at home can throw that off a lot. There's going to be a lot more interruptions. There are going to be unexpected things that happen, and it just gets in the way sometimes, right? But if you are blocking off chunks of time rather than trying to work off a minute by minute schedule, you may be able to give yourself a little more room for those interruptions and breaks. Because if you did transition from a very specific work schedule, maybe in an office, and it was a more task-oriented schedule now at home where it needs to get done, but it doesn't have to get done at a specific time, it can be challenging, so you have to create your own schedule. And so if that's the case and you're having to work very differently, giving yourself broader times to complete those tasks, again, getting these top 3 things done by noon, for example, and then these other 3 things done by 5, are going to help to reduce your stress and allow you to have more freedom in your schedule to account for the little and big things that are going to come up during the day. Interruptions are a big problem, right? All of those little distractions. So when it comes to working throughout the day, don't fall into the multitasking trap. That's another thing that happens a lot when we're working from home more, because it takes an average of 10 minutes to come back from a distraction that's even just a few seconds long. And it will take far longer to complete any task when you are trying to do multiple things at a time than it would if you just focused on one item and completed it at one time. So interruptions are eating a lot of time. And so if you're giving yourself just small pockets of uninterrupted focus, putting on the do not disturb, not letting the social media scroll by, really setting everything aside except for that one task that you're doing, and even if it's just a 15-minute chunk, then you will get so much more done than you ever thought you would be able to. And just give yourself room in that schedule, like I'd mentioned, to take frequent breaks between those tasks. You can multitask all you want during things like, again, scrolling through social media or watching TV if it's not those times that you're working on something focused. But when it comes to your to-do list in your work life, that one thing at a time will actually get more done faster, so you have more free time. And that's what it's all about, right? It's having time freedom. Time management and energy management truly go hand in hand. They really are very much the same animal. And so knowing your best times to do tasks is really important. So I gave you that general idea, but if you can figure out how long different tasks that you do on a regular basis really take you, it's going to be very helpful for you, because then you'll know how much time to actually allot for that. Think about, right now we don't have this, but think about when somebody calls you and says, oh, I'm going to be dropping by in 30 minutes. It's amazing how much faster you can clean your house when you just focus on getting it done rather than constantly putting it off, or maybe it's something you don't want to do and so you drag your feet and so it takes you hours and hours when it really doesn't have to, right? If you just focus on it and get it done, it will be done a lot quicker. But you also might be underestimating certain tasks as well, such as tasks for work and your business. So set a timer, focus, and then record it in your calendar and a journal, how long the things you do this week really take you. So it's kind of like a time study, but it's seeing how long those tasks are so you can realistically give yourself the right amount of time. So what I've been hearing from a lot of my clients is I'm underestimating how much time this is going to take me to do, and then I'm frustrated because it doesn't get done with all the interruptions and breaks and things that you need to have with working from home. And so you might be really surprised at what you find, and it'll be a lot easier to plan your days and create your schedule moving forward if you know what you need to do and how long it takes. So if you're somebody who needs to schedule out their social media posts for the week, then figure out how long does that take you to do for 1 week. But try to do it without the interruptions, right? So that you know realistically how long that it really takes you in order to do that. Or set yourself a certain amount of time that you're going to work on your website, or that you are going to, do a call and actually stick to it. So if you say that, a call is going to take a certain time, have those good solid boundaries to cut those off. That's another thing that I've seen a lot with some of my clients, is that they have a hard time setting the boundaries and saying, okay, it's time to move on to the next thing, and ending that. And so make sure you set up those calls so that you are getting everything you need to done in that amount of time. So if it's an hour-long call, then maybe you're writing out, well, the first 15 minutes I want to accomplish this. Second 15 minutes, we're going to talk about this. third 15 minutes, and so on. And then we're going to end. So it's a really great way to just jot those things down and write those out so that you can keep yourself on track and not constantly be pushing things back or feeling like you're late or feeling like you're behind. Now, we just don't know how long we're going to be in this situation, right? And many people are going to continue working from home for the long term. Some people are figuring out how much they love it. Some people hate it. Some people are realizing that it is going to become their new normal. And of course, it's almost summer. So if you do have children at home, it was going to be summer anyway. But we really don't know how all of these things are going to look moving forward. So even as those restrictions begin to loosen, we'll all need to find that new normal with those new routines that you're creating and learning how to manage your schedule now very differently than you did before. And doing that is really going to help you manage stress, fight frustration and that fatigue, and ultimately really feel like you can take back control of your time. And especially in a world where there's not a lot of control we have over certain things in our environment, that is really going to help everyone.